Every night, you imagine a better future, a better career, a healthier body, more confidence, more freedom. You can see it so clearly. The life you want feels real. And that's exactly why it's dangerous. Because if you've had the same dream for years, there's a question you need to ask yourself. What if your dreams are the very thing keeping you stuck? Months pass, sometimes years, and somehow nothing changes. Most people think they're stuck because they're lazy or because they don't have enough discipline. But psychology tells a different story. The truth is far more unsettling. Sometimes the biggest obstacle between you and your future isn't failure. It's the comfort of imagining success. And by the end of this video, you'll understand the hidden psychological reason you're stuck and how to finally break free. We've all done it. You watch successful people online. You picture the life you want. You imagine the transformation, the confidence, the freedom, and you tell yourself, one day you'll start. One day you'll become disciplined. One day you'll finally change your life. But that day never seems to arrive. Instead, you keep planning, thinking, researching, waiting, and slowly, something strange begins to happen. Your dream starts feeling productive, even though you've done absolutely nothing. And that's where the trap begins. Psychologists call this mental simulation. Your brain doesn't simply imagine success. It partially experiences it. When you visualize achieving a goal, your brain can release small amounts of dopamine, the chemical associated with anticipation and reward. For a moment, you feel motivated, excited, hopeful, like you're moving forward. But here's the problem. Your brain has already collected part of the emotional reward before you've done any of the work, which means the urgency to act becomes weaker. The strange part is, the dream itself can become more satisfying than the process required to achieve it. And most people never realize this is happening. They become addicted to imagining a better future instead of building one. The first reason you're stuck is because you're addicted to possibility. Possibility feels amazing. Anything could happen. You could build the business. You could get in shape. You could transform your life. You could become the person you've always wanted to be. But reality is different. Reality demands action, and action creates risk. Failure becomes possible. Embarrassment becomes possible. Rejection becomes possible. And suddenly, dreaming feels safer than doing. So without realizing it, many people choose the comfort of potential over the discomfort of progress. Because as long as you never try, your dream can never fail. And that's why some people spend 10 years preparing for a life they never start living. But this is where things get even more interesting. The second reason you're stuck is called identity conflict. Deep down, you may want a new life, but your brain is still attached to the old version of you. The version that procrastinates, the version that hesitates, the version that doubts itself, the version that always says, I'll start tomorrow. Most people think habits create identity, but often identity creates habits. Your behaviors become evidence of who you believe you are. And every time you repeat those behaviors, your brain strengthens that belief. That's why motivation rarely lasts. Because motivation tries to force new actions. Identity makes those actions feel natural. Until your identity changes, your life often returns to the same familiar patterns, no matter how inspired you feel. And there's one final reason people stay stuck. Fear, but not the kind most people imagine. Real fear is sneaky. It wears disguises. Sometimes it looks like perfectionism. Sometimes it looks like overthinking. Sometimes it sounds like, I'm waiting for the right time. Or, I need to learn a little more first. But beneath all of it, your brain is trying to protect you. Because your nervous system values familiarity more than growth. Even if your current life frustrates you. Even if you're unhappy. Even if you're desperate for change. Your brain often prefers a familiar pain over an unfamiliar future. And once you understand that, everything starts to make sense. The problem isn't that you're incapable. The problem is that your brain mistakes safety for success. So how do you escape? Most people think they need more motivation. They don't. They need momentum. Stop focusing on the dream. Focus on the next step. Not the next 5 years. Not the entire journey. Just the next action. One workout. One page. One video, one conversation, one promise kept to yourself. Because confidence doesn't come before action. Confidence comes from evidence. Every small action sends a message to your brain. This is who I am now. And over time, those tiny actions begin rewriting your identity. The truth is, your dream life won't arrive in one dramatic moment. It won't appear because you finally feel motivated. It won't happen because you wait for the perfect opportunity. It will be built the same way every meaningful thing is built. One decision at a time, repeated long enough to become part of who you are. And once your identity changes, everything else starts to follow. So if you've been feeling stuck lately, remember this. You don't need a bigger dream. You don't need more motivation. And you definitely don't need to wait for the perfect moment. You need a smaller first step. Take it today. Because 1 year from now, you'll either be living closer to the life you've been imagining, or you'll still be imagining it. The difference won't be talent. The difference won't be luck. The difference will be the small action you chose to take today. Because the life you've been dreaming about is still possible, but only if you stop visiting it in your mind and start building in reality. If this video made you think differently about your own life, subscribe, because every week we explore the psychology behind the struggles people rarely talk about.